Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm your host, the Heebie-Jeebiest, and I ask to please help support my channel by liking the video and by subscribing. My Patreon link is also located in the description. In this video, I will be discussing with you different types of Native American creatures, the ones that are more frightening in nature. However, I will not be including Canadian or Mexican Native American mythology as simply there's too much pertaining to the United States already. Perhaps I will cover those areas in a later video. Also, although they should be included, I will not be covering skinwalkers, Bigfoot, horned dragon or serpent creatures, or a few others, as they are widely popular and already well known, or if isn't mythology of a specific tribe and is just universal, such as horned serpents. Although Native American tribes usually have a universal belief in a great spirit, each of them believed in their own particular deities or creatures. Much of their lives was based on a strong belief in dictating acknowledgement to these things. While cultures varied among tribes, they all believed that the universe was bounded by spirits of natural life, such as animals, plants, water, the sky, and earth. Many tribes also believed in a darker aspect, including specific spirits and creatures. Seminole. Hutchko Chopko. Its name translates to long ears and is a gray wolf-like monster with a horse's tail and is the size of a horse. It has long, pointed ears, or others say floppy like a basset hound. The creature emits a terrible odor that alerts people of its presence. It carries diseases, infects anyone or anything that touches it. Stagini, or Stenkini. These are sinister monsters from Seminole folklore. Originally, they were evil witches that turned themselves into owls at night as they vomited up their internal organs. They were said to feed on human hearts and re-emerge the next morning by reinserting their hidden organs. Creek, Muskogee. Atipa Koba, also known as man-eater or stiff-legged bear. It is described as a massive bear the size of an elephant, and was able to push over large trees and was able to tear a man to shreds. Choctaw. Kashihatapolo, or Caribou Man. It is part man, part deer, with hairy legs and cloven hooves. If hunters come near its domain within swampy areas, it will creep up behind them and frighten them by howling. Although it doesn't harm anyone, it does enjoy scaring them. If one angers the Kashihatapolo, it is said that it will race ahead and try to warn animals. Aquanaholo, white people of the water. They are said to dwell in deep pools of water. Their skin resembles that of a trout. When the Choctaws swam in the Abita River, the creatures would attempt to seize them and draw them into their homes, where they live, and become one of their kind. If they were able to leave the water, they would die after the manner of fish. Huckleberry, a bad spirit who could assume any shape it desired. It was also considered to read people's thoughts. Nolusa Chito, also known as an Empa Sheila. It was a soul eater and a great black being. If individuals allowed evil thoughts or depression to enter their minds, Empa Sheila would creep up inside of them and eat their souls. They would avoid even mentioning his name, as it might summon the spirit. Nulusa Falea, long black being. It resembled a man, but with very small eyes and pointed, long ears. He sometimes frightened hunters or caused harm. He often approaches by sliding on his stomach like a snake. Shelambish. It was believed that every man had a Shelambish, which always followed him It was supposed to remain upon the earth and wandered restlessly about its previous home, often moaning to frighten its living friends. It is supposed to take the form of a fox or owl. Cherokee. Nun Yunu We. It is described as a human-like being with skin as hard as stone that no weapon can pierce. It wields a magical cane to point out its victims and has a variety of powers. It devours people and can control their minds. Kalano Akyeleski, Raven Mocker. It is an evil being who robs the old, sick, and dying of their lives. They usually appear as old, withered men and women. When they take to the air to hunt, they emit sounds of a raven's cry and a strong wind. Spearfinger. A shape-shifting witch with stone skin and a long obsidian knife as one of her fingers on her right hand. She roams the mountains between Tennessee and North Carolina, and you can still hear her shrieks and cackles through the night. She has a taste for human liver, and Cherokee children were warned to stay close to the village. Iroquois. Flying heads. They are described as being ravenous spirits that are cursed with insatiable hunger. It resembles a human head with long dark hair and frightening eyes, a large mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. Flying heads have a pair of bat wings on the sides of the cheeks. Other versions say bird wings. They are large in size with impenetrable skin. Niyagwa-hiogwa, naked bear. A monstrous bear-like animal of northern New York that was wiped out by the Indians in the 17th century. It was described as long-bodied and thin with short legs and huge claws. It had a loud, terrifying roar. Regarded as dangerous, it killed many of the Iroquois, especially women and children. Onyat, dry fingers. It is a disembodied, mummified arm of Iroquois folklore. In some stories, it is a boogeyman, and in others, a vengeful apparition that punished corrupt people. The arm can fly, and anyone touched by it will be affected with a disease or they were made blind. Seneca Jaii, a monstrous 6-foot spider who could not be killed because its heart is hidden underground. It is said they are relatives of the camel spider and thought of as evil spirits. Lenape Matanto, the spirit of death, and portrayed as a destructive, often evil being. He is associated with bats, stinging insects, and poisonous plants, and it is said to have created them. After the introduction of Christianity, he is identified as the devil. Moai is a man-eating ice giant similar to the Wendigo. It is a fearsome monster associated with starvation, cannibalism, and sin. A person who tasted human flesh or went mad from the cold might turn into one. It is treated kindly and given civilized food, so may turn back into a human. Pequot and Wampanoag. Hopemoc, the spirit of death. Destructive and often known as evil, it is the subject of many Native American boogeyman stories, and badly behaved children were at risk. Hopemoc plays tricks on adults, such as stealing their eyelids so they can never sleep, or by twisting their feet so they cannot run. Pukwudgie can appear and disappear at will, shapeshift, lure people to their deaths, use magic, shoot poison arrows, and create fire. Native Americans believed they were once friendly to humans, but turned against them. Their name translates to person of the wilderness, and said to be small creatures about 3 feet tall. Their skin is gray and smooth, and have been compared to trolls and goblins. Abenaki Kiwak. It was a giant, cannibalistic, half-animal, half-human creature that inhabited the forests and woodlands of New England. Most legends say that they are former humans whose hearts turned to ice due to possession or by committing an act such as cannibalism, or by allowing a person to starve. Skade Gamuch, Ghost Witch, malignant sorcerers of black magic who worked blood magic during life. After death, their spirits remain to torment the living. It is the result of their will to stay alive, and they transcend death. They are nocturnal shapeshifters and hunt for those to curse or consume. It takes the form of whatever it needs to achieve its goals. Apache, Big Owl, Owlman, a malicious and dangerous giant used as a boogeyman in children's stories. It is sometimes described as having a human form that consumes human flesh, and sometimes a large horned owl that carries off children. Navajo, Anaye, a collection of evil monsters that were evil gods and very fearsome. They killed with their eyes and stood upright with long, thin bodies. It is said that staring at their prey would cause death. Arapaho, Tihayan, child-sized dwarves that were very strong and aggressive, as well as bloodthirsty. They attacked in large numbers. It was believed that they had to be killed in battle to reach the afterlife. They dwell in the Great Plains and are known throughout several other tribes. They are always almost hostile to humans and kill more than they can eat. They often use witchcraft to cause harm, and they can turn invisible. Pawnee Scout Man, a character from Arikara and Pawnee ghost stories, who returned to life after being killed and scalped in battle. He wanders as a fearsome being with the top of his head missing. He often frightens people. Cheyenne, Histova Ihe, TwoFace, a malevolent humanoid monster of the Great Plains Indian tribes, sometimes described as an ogre, but mostly as resembling a human with a second face on the back of his head. If people make eye contact with the second face, they will be struck dead or paralyzed until TwoFace murders them. Rolling Heads, Chichipichikwan, man-eating monsters that appear as undead, disembodied heads with long, tangled hair, and rolls around on the ground looking for humans to devour. They were created when victims of violent murders rise from the dead to seek revenge. An angry man who murders his unfaithful wife, or if someone is killed for witchcraft. They take revenge, often upon the murderer, then proceeds to terrorize its own children or neighboring people. Shumash, Dark Watchers, described as tall, sometimes giant silhouettes wearing hats or walking sticks. They are most often witnessed between twilight and dawn. They are said to remain still and watch travelers along the Santa Lucia Mountains. They always keep their distance from those they watch. The first documented sightings date back to early Spanish settlers and were thought of as supernatural watchmen. Ute, Siat, monstrous humanoids described as cannibalistic clowns who kidnap children and eat them. Female versions of the Siat are said to feed poisonous breast milk to children. These are called Bapet, and they are known to consume their children after kidnapping them and poisoning them. The only way to kill them is by using an obsidian arrow. Paiute, water babies. Within the Reno area in the Pyramid Lake lives mysterious and dangerous water spirits called water babies. They usually take the form of beautiful human infants. In some stories, they are equipped with fishtails or appear as reptilian beings that sound like human infants crying. The cry of a water baby is a bad omen, and responding to their cries results in a catastrophe. Hoshone, Zavitz, a demonic ogre who is known for stealing the sun and kidnapping children. It is also known for cannibalism and being cruel to animals. He is associated with volcanoes. Yakima Tatacha, owl woman monster. It is described as 5 sisters who ate members of the tribe and also feasted on amphibians, but their favorite was children. They were known to be tricksters and lived in a cave. Inuit Adelit, Adelit, a bloodthirsty werewolf-like creature that is said to be the result of a union between an Inuit woman and a giant dog. The woman gave birth to 5 were-dogs and 5 adlets. They had the lower half of their bodies as dogs and the upper halves as that of a man. 5 of them crossed the Atlantic, and the rest stayed and became ferocious canine hominids. Tupelock. These are marine creatures that are often described as having scaly, bumpy skin. It is said that they are ugly and reek of sulfur. They love to kidnap children, and they hide in the ocean, waiting for children to come to the water. Aquanaholo. It is an orca-like creature that can take form of a wolf when on land. Sometimes it is depicted as a hybrid of the two. After roaming about, it can return to the sea as a whale. They are said to be fierce and kill men. Some versions say it is a whale who can transform into a reindeer. Quickborn. A large, bald dog spirit that is located in the area of the Baffin Island. It only has hair on its feet, mouth, and tips of its ears and tail. It is said that its presence will send men and dogs into fatal convulsions. Kiwak. A shape-shifting creature that kidnaps children only to hide and abandon them. It can take the form of anything it chooses, making it very deceptive, although their real form is human-like, but their eyes and mouth are sideways. You can often see them from the corners of your eyes, but never directly. Amarok. A gigantic wolf that stalks and devours anyone who hunts alone at night. This is a punishment for them being foolish. It has razor-sharp teeth and is an excellent predator. Tupelock. An avenging monster created by a witch or shaman by using a variety of objects such as animal bone, skin, hair, and more, and even parts from corpses of children. They are given life by ritualistic chants. It was then placed into the sea to kill a specific enemy. Teresa. A humanoid creature associated with shadows, invisibility, and obscurity. For the most part, they are human in appearance and carry on a normal life. They seem normal until you look directly at them. They then would disappear, or only their shadow is seen. They become visible if killed, and their true form is half man, half caribou.